Hello, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to look at the wide-angle focal lengths on Canon APS-C, specifically to answer a question of what focal length exactly is needed for handheld vlogging, self-portraits, and similar activities. We'll also discuss some existing and future lens options suitable for this genre for Canon's crop R series bodies. As always, if you want to dive into a particular subject, simply click the relevant section of the chapter bar or consult the video description. Handheld vlogging is frequently described as being usable with full-frame focal lengths of 24mm and under, the equivalent for Canon's APS-C sensors with their 1.6x crop being 15mm and below. But what exactly does that look like? Can you get away with tighter focal lengths, especially since many of Canon's APS-C lenses start at 18mm? Let's try and answer that today. Here, I have the Sigma 10 to 20mm f4 to 5.6 EX DC HSM, a 2005 EF mount lens designed for APS-C sensors, which I will be testing on the Canon R7. I do not recommend purchasing this lens for a variety of reasons, but that will be a discussion for a future video. For the first test, I will be shooting a static scene in the photography standard 3:2 aspect ratio, followed by the same images with a 16:9 crop, the typical aspect ratio for modern videos including this one. These images have undergone digital distortion correction courtesy of correction profiles applied in post, so the barrel distortion here is much less prominent than what this particular lens suffers from. Note that the focal length the camera and lens are reporting may not match the exact width of the same focal lengths reported by other lenses, so keep some leeway in mind if you end up studying these images closely. Next, we will look at this focal range's performance in a handheld vlog type position, taken from a nearly fully extended but comfortable arm's length away. The distance from this human's face to lens glass here is about 23.5 inches, or 60 centimeters. This, of course, will vary depending on your own arm length, as well as the size of your lens of choice. Unlike with the previous still images, no distortion correction has been applied to these video clips, and there is no stabilization whatsoever active, be it digital, lens, IBIS, or post-process. Everyone will have their own thresholds for what their ideal width for handheld vlogs is, but personally, from this test, I think 12 and 14mm, which is a 19 to 23mm equivalent on full frame, struck the best balance between vlogger and background. There are several zoom lenses available starting at 10 or 11mm that would be suitable for this type of work. However, bright aperture options in this focal range for use in low light or indoors are in shorter supply. Just how important is a bright aperture? For lighting purposes, here's an example evening scene. And here's what Aperture can do for background separation. The lens here is arm's length away from the human subject, and the shrubbery in the background is 25 feet behind the human. Notice the increase in noise as the aperture gets darker. As far as specific lens options in the 10 to 20mm range goes, we first have the RFS 10 to 18mm, a lightweight, native, stabilized lens with in-camera corrections, but with an f4.5 to 6.3 variable aperture, which is extremely limiting for those light challenge situations. Same goes, albeit to a lesser extent, for the RF 10 to 20 L f4, the EFS 10 to 18 and 10 to 22, and EF 11 to 24. EF mount third-party options from Sigma and Tamron offer a few more choices, including a few f2.8 ones, but adapted onto modern R-series cameras, these likely have at least some compromises such as size, weight, autofocus performance, noise, image quality, stabilization, or just not working with modern features. For example, on the R7, this Sigma 10 to 20 f4 to 5.6 is soft, heavy, noisy, lacks in-camera corrections, and glitches with Canon's in-body image stabilization. Luckily, not all hope is lost for us RFS shooters, and Sigma and Tamron have announced that their fixed aperture wide-angle APS-C zoom lenses, the 10 to 18mm f2.8 and 11 to 20mm f2.8 respectively, will be ported to and fully supported by the RF mount sometime in 2024. However, Canon does offer several more zoom lenses starting at 14, 15, 16, or 18mm, many of which offer bright and or fixed apertures among other beneficial features. While 10 to 20mm covers the V-logging angles on APS-C just fine, what if you wanted to use just one lens with a more versatile zoom range? If we were to add a selfie stick or handheld tripod to the equation, might the tighter focal ranges work better? I've attached my camera to one here and held it as far as comfortably possible, for a total of around 30 inches or 76 centimeters from face to lens. Suddenly, even 18mm now seems doable, although this method comes with some additional challenges, most notably being the weight. As you can see here, the footage becoming increasingly trembly as the operator's arm tires. In a future video, we'll take a more in-depth look at the lens options for Canon APS-C cameras. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please leave a like, comment, and or subscribe.